Hello and welcome to QuestLore, a family Lorcana podcast where each and every week we come to you and talk about all things Lorcana. We take it from a family perspective, and to introduce first our family, I'm Matt.
I'm Malcolm. I'm Heather.
And I'm Jack.
Right off the bat, Emmett is one of our craziest cast members.
One of?
Yeah, I mean,
How about by far the craziest?
it's true. You are. You won that. So
Good job.
congratulations, you showed up. So let's get going. Slow news week this week. Not much to talk about news-wise. So let's start the way we always start and talk about how we played. So what did we do special this past weekend?
We did a draft.
But it wasn't just any regular draft.
It was a 1, 2, 3, 4, or what some may call it, a 1,234 draft.
Nobody calls it.
No one calls it that. No one has ever called it
No.
that. It's been called like an ultimate draft because
Ultimate
it's
draft.
one crazy draft, a chaos draft. Because you're basically drafted from one pack of step 1, one pack of step 2, step 3, step 4, and drafted that way. So how did you guys enjoy it?
It was actually really fun. Fun fact, Malcolm here put in granted
Yeah.
Which one, Malcolm?
the soda box, which I am desperate to make Dad keep it.
No.
With the soda.
No. Yeah. Well, I haven't told yet, but no, we're not gonna keep it because we don't need it.
Did get quite a few legendaries as well.
Yeah.
So
quite a few
that was
legendaries.
fun. I had fun. I went 2-1, or no, 3-1 because we played 4 games.
Yes.
For this draft, which was new. We had never done that before, so I went 3-1, which was awesome.
Yep.
I think I took
You were 4th.
4th place. I
was.
No, you
I
were
was
4th place. I think I was 6th.
Yeah.
I was 6th place and you were 4th place. Because you also went 3-1.
Yeah.
And-
I also went 3-1.
And Emmett also went 3-1.
Because I lost to this guy over here.
That's me, but you also lost the last person you played. So
Yeah, no, you went 2-2.
Wait, who was the last person I played?
I don't
You did.
remember her name, but you lost to her.
Oh, May.
right.
Yeah, May. Yeah.
No, it's someone else.
No, it was May.
It was
Okay.
Or no, maybe not. No, somebody new. I'm sorry. It was
Yeah.
somebody new.
Sure.
I got. So I accidentally passed out a legendary in my quad pool,
Yeah.
but then somebody gave me a legendary, so it's all worked out.
Yeah, they were luckily
Sure.
very nice.
Yeah. You can say it worked out, whatever. There's a reason they passed up that legendary card and gave it to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Legendary was it.
The Sisu,
It was
right?
just legendary Shisus from set 2.
Yeah, the blue C2. That basically, when you quest with her, you draw 2 cards, you pick one in your hand.
And I accidentally always did it when I played her.
It's not that bad for a draft format because there's not as much removal. I think the person that took first ended up with a lot of removal cards, and that's usually how you win. I know he had Madame Medusa and he had Scar.
Mhm.
I mean, those 2 cards alone will kind of stabilize your board and wipe out the other person's board. So
Yep.
they can do a lot of work.
Yeah. So you went 2-2, and then Malcolm, how'd you do?
Luckily, 2-2 also.
Yeah.
Luckily, nobody on my table was playing the buck. Nobody on my table. I don't think any other table pulled a Bucky, so that's good.
Malcolm did though.
Yeah, Malcolm had a Bucky, but it's not as good in this type of setting.
You
Right.
pulled a Bucky?
Yeah, but
I mostly pulled it because there was no really good cards left, and I pulled
Sure.
it because I thought you could sell it for a good amount.
well, Buckies are commons or uncommon, so they're pretty easy to come by. But this isn't what is a great card in a constructed deck doesn't mean it's a great card in a draft format.
Because there aren't a ton of Floodborns that you're necessarily going to pull unless you pulled that Bucky early and then search for Floodborns throughout
Yeah.
the draft. Which
Even then, they're still not super easy to come by, and there's not
Mhm.
a whole lot of low level ones, especially when
Right.
you're only opening one pack of set 4, which is like
Right.
your first set to have those like 3
Mhm.
cost Bloodborns
Right.
in them. So
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I got 2 Bloodborns. I got the Queen And then I luckily got the big Robin Hood.
Sure.
Mhm.
So that's two
And
Floodborns that you got, right? But if you're looking at the current like popular Bucky discard deck
yeah,
that everyone
it's
steal
not.
one, that's running like 40 Floodborns.
Yeah, and also, guess what happened? Mom had the one drop Robin Hood Cook set 3, and I had the big Robin Hood Cook set 3. Only I had the one drop
Oh, if
Cook
only
set 3.
I had the 5 drops
Yeah.
from set 3.
So I could shift it.
That would have been nice. But so again, when you are drafting, the one thing you look for is a good amount of 1 drops, 2 drops, 3 drops. And then but you still want a few heavy hitters, but like usually you don't want anything past a 6 unless it's shiftable. Or it does something really special because it's unusual to get over 6 ink
Yeah,
in
like
a draft.
my one loss was he designed his deck basically to get over 2/6 quickly. So he was playing he grabbed 1 jump ahead, right? So he
Mhm.
skipped he skipped a turn and
Mhm.
added additional ink to his
Yep.
Inkwell right away. And then he was also playing the Heart of Atlantis,
Right.
which is like 2 lanterns in 1, right?
What does that
So
do?
basically it's a 4-cost uninkable, and you can tap it and you pay 2 less to play a character.
So it's
Mhm.
basically like a Pluto and Lantern combined.
Or like 2 lanterns.
More like 2 lanterns. So basically, he could play 7-cost cards on turn 5,
Right.
or multiple 3 and 4s, like a 3 and a 4 on turn 5, where I'm just still getting to those big bodies. So,
Mhm.
and then just takes control from there because he's got the bigger guys who can do stuff that they can't. I can just like kind of throw rocks at him and hope they kind of get in his eye or something.
Yep.
And irritates him, gets an infection. That was my only hope. Didn't work. So don't use that strategy. So that was our draft. So that was fun.
It was very fun.
Probably won't have another draft until after the
Set
Set
next
4
set.
championships.
The next set comes out. So Shimmering
Yeah.
Skies. No news on Shimmering Skies this week. So we're still waiting for some more cards, but it's still early in the season, and we've got the Ursula Return Set Championships coming up.
Yep.
When's that going to come?
So
In
that's
July.
all of July, every weekend in July. We've got the Ursula Return Set Championships.
Is
So
it going to be like the set 3?
yep, just like the set 3 ones. They've changed some of the rules where it is always on a Saturday or Sunday. So that's when stores have to run them. It's any Saturday or Sunday in July. Which does kind of create some awkwardness because that first weekend is basically 4th of July weekend.
Mhm.
So a lot of stores don't want to have it then. A lot of stores kind of have, that gives you 6 days to have it, which while they were trying to make it easier than last time, now they have basically, if you don't count those first 2 days, you have 6 days to run it as opposed to 10 before.
Yeah.
Wait, who's the enchanted Pokemon that you get?
It's Ursula.
There's only enchanted Ursula.
It's another enchanted.
It's another enchanted.
Oh,
Ursula.
does it
Remember
look like,
we talked
does
about
it look like the puzzle piece?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, it looks like a puzzle piece.
Yep.
So does the playmat. So it's the same thing as last time.
Mhm.
Stores can either do the best of 3 format that we're normally used to, or they can do that 2-game format that you had in Chicago. I don't know what 8 Side is going to do,
Mhm.
or some of the other stores. The 2-game thing technically runs a little bit faster,
Mhm.
but people also don't like it as much.
No.
So, it's be interesting to see what each one does. So we're looking at schedules. I know we're already signed up for 8 Side.
Yeah.
Probably do a few more. But being on the weekend, we can't give up every weekend during the summer because we like to have fun.
We do.
So we'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that wasn't the only time we got to play this week.
No. So one of our other local game stores, that's actually the one that's very close to our house, within walking distance.
It's called RIW.
So they started kind of informally playing, trying to get ramped up and get interest in, so that when set 4 comes out, they can
It is out.
or set 5 comes out, when Shimmering Skies comes out, that they have the interest. And they're also, I think they're planning on doing the set championships as well. So that way they will have interest and have people that know that they are playing there, so that they can run their own set championships. So we ended up playing there yesterday. It's nice to what they kind of did is they did an hour of kind of informal fun gameplay, And then starting at 6, which is nice because that's a nice time for our family. And then at 7 started a normal 3 game, but the 3 match, but with the 2 game format, right?
Yep.
Um, where they're keeping track of points and things like that. Um, so the 3 of us stayed for just the hour of fun play because these guys had a sleepover last night or 2 nights ago, and so they were getting tired and they needed to get home. But how did we do at that, boys?
I lost to you.
You lost to me. And how about your first game?
The first game was against you.
Oh, that's right. The first game was against me, and then how about your second match?
My second match was against the store.
The person who was coordinating it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and I beat him.
Nice.
He had he had the bouncing stuff.
Mhm.
Ruby Amethyst.
Yeah, the
Yep.
Ruby Amethyst bouncing deck. Yep.
Yeah.
And then Malcolm, how'd you do?
Against someone, and then I lost against Mom because I got a horrible hand both times. Who's your winning?
So I ended up winning both games because I beat these 2. So which is nice because last time Malcolm destroyed me.
Yep. Well,
But I think because of that, like I did get decent hands, I was able to take care of him, and I was able to, get my whole new world out early enough before because he had a Tiana on the board, but he still had cards in his hand, so I was able to play the whole new world before he did that, so that way that Tiana wasn't so deadly. And so yeah, and then but Emmett did beat me in 1 game. We did have to go to a third game for our match. So
yeah, because I got on my opening hand, I think I got both 2 of the Pegasus, the Emerald and the Ruby Pegasus.
Yeah, you sure did.
My third drop was either a wild card or a mania.
Yeah, he got all of those big evasives and then the 2 drops.
The 4 was Pongo. The 5th was Mad Hatter, and then I had the Genie.
Yeah, so he just had a whole bunch of really high luring cards, and I just couldn't catch up in time because I mulliganed into a terrible hand, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But so he ended up winning that one. I almost caught up, but just couldn't quite get there. So then, Dan, how did you do? Because you did stay.
Yep.
So how did you do in your fun games? Then how did you do in the real games?
Sure. So in fun games, I played someone playing Ruby Amethyst. Went one and one with him. I'm playing Ruby Sapphire right now. Ruby Amethyst is kind of my worst matchup. So if I can go 1-1 with someone, I consider that a success.
Yeah.
And so then we did the tournament piece. And first one, I played another Ruby Amethyst player, and was able to 2-0 them. So did really well then. Then played someone playing Steel Song. Afterwards, they were doing they had lanterns, and they said they had fills in there too, but they never saw any.
Okay.
And I went 2-0 there. My deck is a really bad matchup for Steel Song. Unless you can do the Shift Queen and sing on turn 2 a whole new world and get rid of my opening hand and hope I crash into a whole bunch of uninkables.
Yeah.
It's a really bad matchup because if you sing a whole new world anytime after turn 4 or 5, all you've done is just reloaded my gun.
Yeah.
You just handed me a whole new hand worth full of weapons.
Yeah.
So it's a really bad matchup for that. So but I went 2-0 with there. And then I ended up playing in the last one with the same guy I played with for the fun game. So Ruby Amethyst again. I went 1-1 against him. So anytime I can go 1-1 against Ruby Amethyst, it's good for me because that is a weakness to my deck because they can go really fast now with the Flynn Rider frenemy. It gets 3 lore if they're the strongest person on the board, and there are a lot of games where I'm not putting anyone on the board until turn 4, turn 3 or turn 4, so they can get that and get a few quick lore. And then he did one where he did Flynn Rider, and then it was the Sisu that gets strength related to the number of cards in my hand, followed by a castle. And so it was just taking them out. There was one point where he double castled me twice during the game. I was able to clear out all the castles, but they had done enough damage that was the one I lost.
Yeah.
But then the next one, he tried to do the same thing again to me. I was able to rush in there and just demolish castles left and right. So But fun games came out in first for the whole thing. They weren't giving any prizes; it was just a free event. So, but it was still nice to be able to top
Yeah,
everything.
for sure.
Um,
Especially because like almost everybody there was like new players I've never seen. I've never played against
Sure.
before, except for one. Like there's one person we recognized. But it was a lot of people I didn't recognize. Now you may have because you play a lot more out in Ann Arbor and Livonia. But
most of those people were new. The
Mhm.
guy that I played against twice, I
Mhm.
believe I played in the set championships
Oh, did you?
out in Ann Arbor
Okay.
for Rockstar. So we were both playing Ruby Amethyst back then. He stuck with Ruby Amethyst, and I've changed to something else.
Got
So
you.
I think the fact that I played Ruby Amethyst for so long,
Mhm.
because I played it for Set 2, basically, and Set 3,
Mhm.
has helped me kind of understand that matchup
Sure.
for my deck. So,
Sure.
um,
That
yeah,
makes sense.
good times, though. Good times.
Yeah, it
Fun,
was
fun, fun.
super fun.
So outside of Lorcana, you know, we don't only love Disney through Lorcana, right? We love Disney through almost everything.
We love
Um,
Disney.
We love Disney.
And we recently watched a couple of Disney movies. A few weeks ago, we watched Wish
Yeah, and we haven't
on
seen
Disney
it
Plus.
yet.
Yep, we didn't get a chance to see it in the theaters. So what did you guys think of Wish?
I think it was okay, not the best, but how they like blah blah like some of the like old Disney movies like
Yeah,
Peter
it was during the Disney 100 season, and so they did a lot of throwbacks, which was really cool. So
like Peter Pan.
like Peter Pan
And during the end,
Cinderella,
Cinderella,
whole new, or they did Little Mermaid.
Yeah,
and
lots of
Like
throwbacks.
a lot of the princess movies specifically.
and spoiler alert, but
It's been out for over a year, so it's fine.
wait, it came out last year.
Yes,
It
it
came
did.
out last year. It's been out for like 9 months.
Yeah.
You're okay.
So what was I going to say?
I don't
Thrilling drop in.
know.
Yeah, I thought it was an okay movie. It's not something I would go out of my way to watch again.
Well, the music's okay, not the best. It's okay.
It's okay.
I mean, Alan Tudyk is, just amazing as Valentino.
Yeah, I
Like,
can't. Like that's the clearest one that in my head. Like, because now when we watch Disney movies, right, we're gonna start thinking about Lorcana cards. So now it's like Valentino, stuck up donkey. He's a 1/1 evasive or something like that.
he's a goat, not a donkey.
He gives off strong donkey vibes. That's
He's
not
a
my fault.
goat.
Well, then why does he give off donkey vibes?
I don't know. Probably because you think he's like Donkey from Shrek.
Because he is like Donkey from Shrek. And we can't have Donkey from Shrek in Lorcana. So Valentino is basically the Walmart version of Donkey from Shrek.
Okay. Okay, whatever.
Target version?
That's a little bit better.
And also, in the middle of the night, one night of the night, well, when we watched with Malcolm woke me up to tell me something very strange. That the grandpa in that movie was just Jiminy Cricket. Two things. Number one, I told you that while we were watching this.
Sure.
And number two, I said it was Geppetto.
That makes more sense since he's not a cricket.
Yeah,
Right.
No, he told me it was Jiminy Cricket.
No, it makes sense that it's
I said it was Geppetto.
Wait,
But anyway.
do you know that Jiminy Cricket is like a cricket?
No,
No, you don't know that.
No, I do know.
What do you think Jiminy Cricket is?
No, Jiminy Cricket's a cricket. But Malcolm told me that Jiminy Cricket turned into a human somehow.
Okay. So
When?
Jiminy Cricket became a human, moved to a place that they don't grant wishes, or the king steals wishes, right? And then had some kids and had grandkids, and then played guitar. That's what That's what happened to Jiminy Cricket.
Jiminy Cricket. Sorry, I had to get the Jiminy Cricket off of our Lego Disney castle.
Yeah. So that's Jiminy Cricket. That's what happened to Jiminy Cricket. That's what happened in Pinocchio 2, Electric Boogaloo.
But anyway, so instead of dancing donkeys like we had in Encanto, we have dancing chickens, which is not as good as dancing donkeys. But okay. But Valentino was definitely the standout of that movie for, I think, all of us.
And the other guy that was like worried about everything. I Like,
Okay.
yeah,
The
he
guy
was
that was like,
In the anxiety-filled
yeah,
friend.
oh yeah,
I
the
don't
anxiety.
remember him.
I'm pretty sure that is his
the
name.
little guy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. That's why he's so angry.
So anyway, but then this weekend we also
See what's up above.
saw a movie in the theaters because we are never one to miss a Pixar film on opening weekend.
If we miss a Pixar film, if we don't watch a Pixar film, a new Pixar film of like a sequel or
Get it out.
something in the movie theater,
Get it
I
out.
will scream.
Okay.
So we didn't watch Buzz Lightyear in the movie theater.
We didn't.
But
it was
that's
also
not a
COVID.
sequel. Yes, it is.
There's
I
also
don't know
COVID.
what that's. It's like a side story.
Anyway, so we went and saw Inside Out 2. We are huge fans of Inside Out.
Huge.
Love it. But
sadness, joy, and
yes, we did. So we are very excited to see Inside Out 2, and we'll start with you, Malcolm. What did you think of this movie?
I thought it rocked.
You thought it rocked?
He said, he was me, and I said,
Oh.
I thought it
so
okay.
it was okay.
it was ah.
All right, what did you think for real, Malcolm?
It was a good movie.
Yeah.
It's one of the better Pixar sequels.
Better Pixar
Sure.
sequels. Okay, Dad, how about you?
It was good. I felt it hit a lot of the same beats as the first one, maybe a little bit too much, but just like upping the ante a bit. So Joy was, had a bigger adventure with a bigger crew, but very much the same journey.
Okay.
Was Joy better than what she did in the first movie?
She was doing the same thing she was doing in the first movie, dude.
Yeah.
She didn't learn anything from the first movie.
Sure.
No, that sadness is good.
Well, she learned to embrace the other feelings, but she hasn't learned that she can embrace new ones too.
Yeah.
It's like she got over it, and then she's like, okay, things are good now, and then she did not want to change.
Well, no one told her about these new emotions, which tracks, right?
The
No one.
construction workers did.
You know what they should have done? They should have had like some kind of older figure, like telling them, "Hey, this is going to happen to you. This is going to happen to you," and then ignoring
The grandma.
until they showed. Well, the grandma was something different, but like an older figure somewhere inside of the mind saying, "Hey, guess what? There's going to be like anxiety and embarrassment stuff coming. You got to be prepared for that."
Or like,
and them just ignoring them and not listening.
Riley's grandma why don't someone in like real life do it? Like in Riley's real life.
I bet they did, because that's what every parent does.
Yeah.
But the new emotions for the parents didn't come to the end of this movie yet.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting what I'm saying, but that's okay. Anyways, it's a good movie. If you like Inside Out, you're gonna like Inside Out too.
Yeah.
Maybe not, to the same level.
But it's good.
But it's good, and there is definitely some real. Like, I feel both of these movies. I feel really sorry for Riley.
I know.
Like
me
during
too.
the climax, she goes through stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, dude.
But it's real. I mean,
Yeah.
That's what real kids go through, and when they're growing up. And as a parent of a 9 and 12-year-old, I can tell you that there are many times while we were watching the movie that I side-eyed my 12-year-old over here. Because he's going through many of the same things that Riley is.
Like he's getting
yes.
Did we not tell you about the hockey camp you're going to next weekend?
And also,
all my friends are leaving me.
Yes.
And also, at the end of this movie, when the parents ask her how was hockey camp, she does the exact same thing when we asked Malcolm how school was.
And what does he say? All right.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's good.
Yeah, Emmett, you're like dancing in your seat, saying like, "Yeah, that's Malcolm. That's Malcolm."
You do the same
The
thing.
Same thing, man.
You do the same thing. You are also starting to get into that preteen
It's
tween
almost
era.
It's almost like the creators of the movie were parents that had kids that did the same thing.
Mhm.
It's been very much a pattern for the past several years of parents now dealing with the trauma
Mm-hmm.
through their art and storytelling
Yes.
movies. And
Both through Pixar and
it
Disney
hits in the heart,
movies.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially like Encanto was a big one.
Sure. Yeah. Encanto.
Big one.
Even Frozen had a bunch of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Frozen 2 especially too.
Yeah, for sure.
So-
Tons of family trauma. Turning Red.
Yes, Turning Red was a big
Turning Red.
one.
Yeah.
Turning Red was great.
That's true, Evan. Turning Red was great. It's one of the ones you hope that Pixar does get included in Lorcana at some point. Not that they
Yes.
don't have a ton of stuff to cover already, but you can include Pixar, then you get May, and you can have like a shift up to the panda bear, right? You can have all sorts of fun stuff with that.
And they have the grandma who shifts up to the giant panda bear, or the mom.
Yeah, or you could have cards for each member of the band.
Yes. And then they can sing together, Matt.
Right. And then they can sing together the song.
But you need all 5 of them.
But you need all 5 of them to sing. Like
all
you're
5
so
at
proud of Voltron.
Forever.
Forever, right.
Whatever.
Yes, there's 5 of them.
Watch that movie again, sir.
And you pull out, you get to play all 5 of them, and then they can sing together their song, and you just win.
You just win. That's it.
Yeah.
You win, and you're friends. And you have to be friends with the other person. That's how it works. You win, and you get to be friends automatically. It's a binding contract.
So anyway, though, sure.
Landsburger, if you're watching this, can you please make the 6th set about all on Pixar? No other cards, just Pixar cards.
Also make Oswald Lucky Rabbit.
So when you started that sentence, I thought you said Lance Burger.
No,
I'm like,
Ravensburgers.
who is Lance Burger? Is this a friend of yours from school that I don't know? And why would he be in charge of the 6th set from Lorcana?
And then realized he said Ravensburger.
Then it was around there. Shortly after that, I realized, oh, he said Ravensburger, not Lance Burger. This just sounds like a really bad actor. Okay, so up. I'm not up. Watch Up 2. It's really good. But Inside Out 2.
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. Wish, if you're on a plane, go ahead and watch it. There are worse things you could watch, for sure.
If you have Disney Plus, put
if
it
you've
on.
got Disney Plus, put it on in the background while you're sorting Lorcana cards.
Fold laundry.
We can go with a little bit of news as we segue into our main topic for the evening. So this past weekend was also the last weekend for Pixelborn. Pixelborn is no more. No more play testing anytime you want against others. Yep. So no more Pixelborn, which will make things harder for people essentially like us, myself very much, to kind of get practice in, to try out new decks, to see what works, what doesn't.
You can always play against me.
Sure, we can play against each other, but it takes a lot longer to set up when you're playing in person. And there are some teams that they just get together every night and do that. We're a family. We're a busy family. They've got lessons of various types. We've got a pool we like to swim in. We like to take trips. We can't spend 4 hours a night going and playing Lorcana, even if sometimes that feels like a great thing to do. We've got other responsibilities now. So Pixelborn is gone. Thank you to Pavel and the rest of the community of Pixelborn for keeping it running as long as you could. If you did play on Pixelborn and you haven't found a way to play and get reps in, you can still play over webcam. There are Discords that are being set up. The most prominent one I've seen so far is called Real Player Network. It's from John T and B Squared, who are other Lorcana creators. They do Into the Inkwell as a weekly show on YouTube. They've put together a Discord to basically match people up that want to play over webcams. They have some ranked play, matchmaking, and all that stuff. So if you have the time and you want to play Lorcana, you can do that. If you are looking for other ways to still kind of engage with the game outside of being able to play with people, there is a tool you can use to kind of practice a little bit. So one of the more popular sites for tracking your Lorcana cards is called Dreamborn. I don't track our cards specifically in there, like our full collection. I use an Excel spreadsheet because that's just who I am. I like being able to sort to see how many I still need of a certain type. So I have this huge spreadsheet that I update every set and make sure that we get 4 of each kind, and then move on and go to the next one. So, but with Dreamborn, you can track how many cards of each one you have. It shows you about their market price over on TCG Player, and then you can build decks out of any of the cards. And you don't have to say you have those cards to build the decks. You go in, you say I want to add these cards to my deck, and it'll show you how many inkables you've added, how many uninkables, like the colors you're using, the number of cards, the number of character cards, number of action cards, number of song cards, number of locations. So it'll give you a bunch of information on your deck as you're building it, so you can see, oh, I've just added 20 lands. It's probably a bad idea. Or, oh no, I have 30 uninkables. That's probably not the greatest. But one good tool in it to kind of get some practice in, and it's what we're going to talk about tonight, is it has a way to practice your mulligan. So basically, it will show you 7 cards. It'll randomize all your cards, draw you 7 cards, and then it'll let you select which cards you want to send back, and then give you the next set of cards you would have drawn after that. So kind of a way to, hey, if I am looking for these specific cards, will they come up right on a regular basis? If I mulligan, will I get a curve? Will I get a ramp? Will I get the cards I want when I'm doing it? So you can build your deck, and then kind of practice your mulligan. Because when it comes to Lorcana, right, we've talked about building decks and what you might want to include in a deck. And what the different colors kind of represent in past episodes. So go back and take a listen if you want some of those. So now that we're kind of in the break, and while set 5 has been announced, we're not getting new cards on a regular basis just yet. So let's go back to some basics and let's talk about the mulligan. So Malcolm, what's the mulligan? What am I talking about here?
So, in Lorcana, when you first draw your first 7 cards, you have a choice to mulligan. Mulliganing is where you choose an amount of cards that you want to put back, that you want to not use in your opening hand, and then draw that many more cards. So let's say you draw 7 cards, and there's 2 cards in there that you don't want to have.
Because like you want to save them for later in the game, right?
You put those 2 cards down, and then you draw 2 more cards, and then you shuffle the other 2 cards back into your deck.
Right. So mulligan is an important tool, and from what I understand from other trading card game players, because again, this is all of our first trading card game. From what I understand from other players, is the mulligan in Lorcana is incredibly useful. Like it's more useful than most other games. Most of the other games, it's either you take what you have. If you don't like what you got to return them all and draw a whole new set. So in Lorcana, being able to pick and choose what you don't want in that first hand and then being able to draw again is extremely powerful, and it's why it's a very incredible skill to kind of focus on. It's probably one of the first ones that you need to focus on.
Oh, I know in Pokemon, how you mulligan is if you can't even mulligan. Like, if you don't get the closest to mulliganing they have is if you don't have a basic Pokemon, you show the opponent your hand and you shuffle it back into your deck and draw something more. I thought it was if you have 2 hands, if you check 2 hands and either of those you don't.
Well, check into our next episode of Catch Poka, a family Pokemon podcast.
That's not a real thing.
No, it's not a thing. Anyways, so mulliganing is an important skill to do. So Emmett, let's take your deck. So, what your deck is green and red.
Yeah, the Christmas deck.
Yep, it's focused on evasive characters.
Yep.
So when you get your 7 cards, what are you looking for in those first 7 cards?
In those first 7 cards, I'm looking for QuestLore with Pegasus.
And why do you want those first?
Okay, QuestLore because it's quest for 2, and Pegasus because it's evasive.
But what's important about both of those that's similar? Why you want them in your opening hand?
Because they're both 1-drops.
Because they're 1-drops, right?
So that means you can put them on 21. Mainly QuestLore the best. That Pegasus is also good, but QuestLore probably better.
Right. So having 1-drops, having some 1-drops, 2-drops, maybe 3-drops. It's probably the most important thing in addition to having inkables.
And for my 2-drop, you should probably have a Flynn Rider.
Right. So let's say you draw your first card. And you have a Pegasus, you have a Cursed Merfolk, you've got Flynn Rider. Are you going to keep, or you've got your first 2 turns planned out, right?
I would keep all 3 of them, and then I'll keep the Pegasus for an inkable.
Right. So if you've got your other 4, if they were all like 5 and 6 cost, would you send them all back?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because 5 and 6 drops are going to be so late in the game. So you should probably just send them back.
What's the only bigger cost card that you might keep in your deck if you have a little Pegasus?
The big Pegasus.
And why is that?
Because when you play him, if you use shift to play him, everybody gets evasive until it just starts.
But it's because it's shiftable, right?
Uh-huh.
So,
So-
you can play it on turn 3.
So if you can play something on turn 3 or 4, even if it's a 5, 6, if it's a 5, 6, 7 cost card, but you can play it on turn 3 or 4 because of the shift feature, then that's something you would keep in. So now my deck's a little bit different. I do, for the most part, look for mostly 1-drops. However, again, I run a lot of shiftables as well. So if I see a 5-drop Robin Hood or a 7-drop Cinderella or a 6-drop Stitch, but I also have the 1-drops of those equivalents, I might keep them, but I'm probably not going to keep all of them because that's a lot of big cards and I don't have anything to ink. So I might choose okay, I think it's more important to have the Robin Hood, but it also depends on what kind of deck I'm playing. Because if I'm playing Emmett has an evasive deck. Robin Hood isn't going to be that great of a card to play against his deck because his special feature is attacking and getting lore for attacking, and he can't attack evasive cards. So when I was playing him, I would often throw him back and keep the Stitch or the Cindy because those are cards that are going to be more likely to be helpful. The Stitch questing because both of them quest for 3. And so I would be more likely to keep those in the Robin Hood. But if I'm playing Malcolm, where everybody has a defense of 1, 2, or 3, I would more likely put back the Cindy and keep the Robin Hood. So that it's also about knowing what your opponent's playing.
Yes.
And which is hard if you don't know what they're playing.
Yep.
But if you're on a game 2 or a game 3 in a 3-game format, then that is helpful as well. If you know what your opponent's playing, that plays a big part in your mulligan as well. And then another thing that I often keep, if I see it, is a whole new world. Because even though it's a 5-drop, that's essential to my game. And so I will keep that. But if I keep that, I will usually put anything else that's uninkable away unless it's a lantern. So, but I think the mulligan game for me, really does depend on who I'm playing.
Yeah. If you're playing, Emmett, right, you probably want to keep the songs. You want to keep Strength of Raging Fire.
Yep.
You want to keep
Absolutely.
Because I
Storm
don't-
Ray John.
Because she doesn't have.
Oh yeah. In fact, that was how I beat him. Was when if I had 1-drop Cindy's and then Storm Ray John or Strength of a Raging Fire, that's what I kept because I knew is what would get rid of his Curse Merfolk without me having to get rid of a discard to get rid of his Flynn Rider, to get rid of his his what's it called? Any of his big 2 and 3 drops. That's what looking for specifically the little Cindy's and those 3 cost songs because she only costs 1 to play, but she sings for 3. So that was kind of my strategy against that.
Yeah. So you have to plan yours based on how you have to beat the opponent.
Mm-hmm.
You're playing someone like Emmett who has those basic cards, and probably the same way with Malcolm too.
Yeah.
Where he has littler cards, you want to kind of just kill him quick with songs.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you're playing a bigger, beefier deck,
like
mine,
right,
where quite frankly your songs are just going to be like, oh, that's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Except for a Long Game Zeus.
Yes.
Swords,
maybe
grab your swords, like a Tinkerbell into grab your swords.
Yes.
Which would hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
You probably want to make sure you're grabbing that Stitch line and the fill lines.
Yep. To ramp up my lore.
To just try to rush and get the lore quickly.
And the Cindy's, the big Cindy shift too, because that way if you've got Tamatoa out and he is unexerted, she can put some good damage onto him. I don't think she takes him out, but she can put good damage onto him. And if I have her and maybe an Ariel that can sing a Zeus, I can get rid of him in 1 turn.
And then Malcolm, what's your mulligan strategy?
get as many reloads as possible.
Yes.
Don't you call them tiny children? Yes, get as many tiny children as possible. Best is 3, even though that's kind of rare.
And piglets, right? You were really looking for the Lilos and the piglets.
Get a 1-drop. Get usually a Lilo, a piglet, and a 3-drop, and then a Phil, and then either a Phil or Tiana,
And
then
Tiana, yeah.
Inkables.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Just focusing on inkables, and that's really
Mostly just a 1-drop, a 2-drop, a 3-drop, a 4-drop, and Inkables.
yeah. Both you and Emmett kind of have similar. Like you have to know what your deck is trying to do, and both of your decks are basically let's get some bodies out there, let's get to questing, let's get to 20 as fast as we can.
Yeah, because both of our decks are kind of like the aggro stage.
Yes, you're both on more aggressive stuff, and that just works for younger players. So if you've got younger players that are interested in playing, I do recommend trying to do an aggro type deck because they're going to want to just kind of tilt everybody to the right, quest, quest, quest. That's what they're going to prefer.
What about the left?
Oh my god. It doesn't matter which way you tilt it.
It's just we all mostly tilt them to the right. So that's what I'm saying.
But I will, yeah.
And so it's kind of what your plan should be. If you're running an aggro one, you just want characters. You want to be able to throw your characters out there as quickly as possible and get them to questing. Jen, you've got multiple options, so you've got to know who you're playing.
Yeah.
I'm the same way. My mulligan has to actually be a little bit more aggressive. So playing Ruby Sapphire, it does help sometimes to know who I'm playing. And if you're taking a look at the more popular decks right now, so you've got Ruby Amethyst, Emerald Steel are two of the ones that I kind of have to plan for the most. If I'm playing another Ruby Sapphire person, it's a 50-50 matchup.
Yep.
It's whoever gets the dime stuff first, right? But if I'm playing a Emerald Steel, if I'm playing let me start with the Ruby Amethyst because I did that yesterday. I'm looking for my 3-drop Sisu so that he can't get a bunch of stuff off Flynn Rider. Brawls to get rid of Flynn Rider.
Right.
Maybe a Vitalisphere so I can pump somebody up really quick and take out castles, right? So I'm planning on what the other player's playing.
The Ice Block too is really helpful.
Yeah, Ice Block helps some. And then if I'm playing Emerald Steel, I'll approach things differently, in which case I just really want a bunch of Inkables.
Yeah.
Like I'm just trying, and Inkables and like one jump ahead and how far I go, stuff that will let me ramp without it being an item that takes stuff from my hand. Because if you're playing Emerald Steel, you have to realize that you are going to lose cards. You're going to lose cards. You're going to run out of stuff because of Bucky.
Yeah.
Yes, because of that squirrel. You're going to lose cards. So I want mostly uninkables, and I don't want to play my Fishbone Quill because I'm not probably going to have the cards in hand to play that.
Right.
If I'm playing cards, I better be replacing them with something to find one jump ahead, to find how far I go, as I just kind of get up to 7 ink so that I can then be prepared and wipe out their board, or throw down one of the big Sisus on 8, wipe out their board. Use Brawls to control Diablo, stuff like that.
I thought how far I go was an emerald card.
No, how far I go is a Sapphire card. You look at the top 2 cards of your deck, one goes into your inkwell, one goes into your hand.
Oh, I'm thinking of going to distance.
Yes, that is an emerald card, for sure. So really what you need to understand is what is your deck trying to do and how do you make it work against other players?
If you're playing a you're playing against a mirror deck.
So a deck similar to yours.
Basically yours. Like the same colors. You should probably just go with like what you should normally do, like all like the big roll and stuff.
Yeah.
Try to go for your best line to get up to 20 points.
Yep.
As quickly as possible.
But I will say for any deck though, make sure you have a plan for turns 1, 2, and 3.
Yep.
Like that's your goal. Like have I would not recommend having any more than 2 inkables or uninkables in your hand. I would say 1 is probably your goal.
Yeah.
Unless you have a set plan for it. Like if I have, if I have 2 Let the Storm Rage On, and I also have 2 little Cindy's in my hand, I'm going to keep them both.
Yeah.
Because those little Cindy's can sing that and get rid of their cards immediately.
Yep. And
and giving more cards to draw.
the mulligan thing is an important thing to go over with kids. If you're playing with younger players, or even playing with newer players,
Yes.
there's a tendency that they want to hold on to that. Oh my God, this is the best card in the deck, right? I remember there was one time where, and we'll get some back into your deck, but Emmett really wants Be Prepared to be in his deck.
Mm-hmm.
And there was one time where he did have it in his deck, and he got it in his opening hand. And he kept it and held on to it like a squirrel because he so wanted to play it.
I mean, that
He was inking everything to get up to 7 ink so that he could play Be Prepared because he thought, well, if I make Be Prepared, I win because it's a great card. And he sacrificed a bunch of other stuff and then couldn't do anything because he wanted to play this Be Prepared card. So
I mean, to be fair, that was like at set 1, so
that was I think during like set 2 or something like that.
set 1.
Okay, and he just really wanted to play it, and sometimes people get really greedy and like, this is like one of my best cards in here. I've got to hold on to this Maleficent Dragon until the end of the game. And let me tell you, if I have a Maleficent Dragon in my opening hand of 7, the first card that's being inked is Maleficent Dragon. Because I'm not going to get to turn 9, or in my case, it might be turn 6 or 7.
Same thing for me with Big Tink.
Right.
With that Big Tinkerbell, I'm not holding because she's not. It's different if it was a Cinderella or a Robin Hood or a Stitch, and I might get the shift. But that Tinkerbell, if she's in my opening hand, yes, she is ink. Absolutely.
Yep, for sure. So it's a really important thing to go over with newer players, especially kids, because they just want to play those big, flashy cards because they're a lot of fun to play. I love throwing out a dragon and just blowing stuff up. Who wouldn't? I will blow your stuff up.
I know you will.
No problem with it. I have multiple dragons, dragon fights. Let's go.
And plus he did hold.
I'm just saying, West Side Story, better with dragons.
Absolutely, and swords.
Dragons and swords. That's what that. Well, I mean, it had a knife. But if they had like proper swords and proper dragons,
then it's called Romeo and Juliet, which is what it's based on.
Would it?
Not the dragons, but the swords.
Well, I mean, Shakespeare couldn't be perfect, right? I mean, imagine if it was "Where far art thou, Romeo? I'm on top of a kick butt dragon." Like the Montagues would have been like, or the Capulets would have been like, yeah, Montague's all right. They got dragons. Would have solved the whole tragedy.
Isn't that basically just what Game of Thrones was?
I mean, they had some other problems. That is appropriate for family podcasts.
For sure.
So,
for sure.
Yeah, I don't think it would have turned to that. It just would have been, cool, dragon, all right, you can marry her.
Yeah.
I think that counts. I think that's how it worked.
Sure. I'm sure Shakespeare would approve.
Yeah.
And also, I hope in this next set there's a card. It's Mama Odie's Club.
That's true. We did play a game of
a Villainous Clue. Villain's Clue.
Villain's Clue.
That was fun.
And it's fun to see all the different stuff. But yeah, one of the weapons is Mama Odie's
Club. I know.
We're confused.
Yeah, we just turns into electronic dance music, and you just see Mama Odie in the background. Dig a little deeper. Dig a little deeper.
Which is perfect because Tiana's ride Bayou Adventure actually opens up next week. For the public. Yeah. So it opens up next week in Disney World. Like I think they had the DCA previews.
Yeah, they've had a lot of
DVA, the Disney Vacation Club DVC. So DVC previews started today.
Yeah, and they had the cast from it ride.
Last weekend, I think.
I think you could see the one guy was upset because his character's not in the show.
Yeah.
And then
but then the Mama Odie, like the boats
Dr.
got
Cecilia.
Yeah, the boats got like got locked up like they always do because again it's the same ride as Splash Mountain. It's just different animatronics. So it still has all of the issues the old ride had, which is where all the boats get locked up at the end. And so Mama Odie just took their Jennifer Lewis, right? I think it's Jennifer Lewis. Matt doesn't know names of Disney voices. Ask him who played someone in Star Wars, and he knows. But
maybe if they were up in Mama Odie's Club.
But anyway, so she started singing "Dig a Little Deeper," which was pretty cool. That was a cool video going around. But yeah, so anyway, so very cool. But I don't know if Mama Odie was holding her club.
Okay. So, bottom line, practice your Mulligan.
Yes.
If you're looking for some practice you can do quickly on the computer, you can go to Dreamborn, use that tool there to practice your Mulligans with decks that you're building, so you can make sure that it is possible to get the cards you want. That you didn't like make some kind of horrible math mistake, and you're never going to see something to play on turn 1 or play on turn 2. Another small piece of advice when you are mulliganing, if you are going up against Emerald Steel, and there is going to be a lot of Emerald Steel that you're going to go up against.
Especially since it won Chicago and everybody thinks it's the best
Chicago, it just like top 2 decks from a big tournament over in France over the weekend. There's a big tournament this weekend. We'll see how it does there, but you're going to see a lot of Emerald Steel. The only reason it's not going to be just a flood of it is because it's a super expensive deck.
Yeah.
It's like an $800 deck, so it's going to be not everyone's going to be able to get that. You know, not everyone can afford to have all the Buckies, all the Tragic Beasts, all the Robin Hoods. It's just really expensive. So that's the only thing keeping it back.
Trivia time?
Yeah, it is trivia time. But anyways, before I get to trivia, if you are going up against Emerald Steel, you want to make sure you have as many inkables as possible because you are going to lose those. Don't be afraid. If your turn 1 isn't going to do much but sit there, just don't play it. Just skip it. Ink that card too, because you're going to lose your cards. If you're just playing some kind of 1/1 that's just going to get killed instantly, that doesn't do anything special. Like if you got Little Cinderella, sure, go ahead and play that so you can sing songs to get rid of Diablo and stuff. But if you don't have like a Robin Hood, a shiftable turn 3 Robin Hood, and you just got the little one, and that's the only one drop you can play, just skip it. Just ink that, right? If you don't have a plan
don't be afraid to just leave it there and not quest with it, not use it. Like if you have it.
Well, no, I'm saying you need it in your hand so that you can get ink, so that you can get up to the stuff that you actually need to play.
I guess that's true, sure.
Because you're going to lose cards. So that would be my one piece of advice as you start to wade into the sea of green and emerald that will be present at your set championships. There were at least 2 people last night playing it. And that was, that's not surprising. That's just 2. You're going to see more and more. Quite frankly, after the first weekend, I'll see how many there are, and I might just switch to it after for set championships because if it's what is going to get me the best chance of winning an Ursula, then I'll play it. I don't like playing that particular deck.
What deck?
The Bucky deck.
Emerald Steel Bucky deck. Not because it's fair because the cards exist in the game. It's just
it's not fun.
It's not fun. Usually both parties end up in just top decking stuff. The Steel Emerald one wins because they'll have already had a board and the other player won't have been able to establish one because they denied them all their resources. That person's not having fun. You kind of feel like you sold your soul to play some Lorcana.
There's no strategy because you're just top decking.
I mean, there's some strategy to it, but it's mostly just find the squirrel.
Yeah.
But it's no offense to anyone that is playing it. Go ahead, play it. It's perfectly fair cards. Just not my favorite type of deck. So, but I will do a lot to win a Ursula card. So we'll see what happens. But let's move on. Practice your mulligans. That's the lesson for today. And let's dig in to some Disney trivia.
It's trivia time with QuestLore.
So, hey, that's not funny. So, again, from the wonderful world of Disney trivia, basically Trivial Pursuit, but with 5 questions. So, first up, finish the line from The Emperor's New Groove. When the sun hits that ridge just right.
No idea. It'll shine. It will something.
I have no idea.
Something else.
And it's not no touchy or wrong lever. I don't know.
It will give me a suntan.
No, it's These Hills Sing. When the sun hits that ridge just right, these hills sing. Okay, what is Olaf's? It's a metaphor, buddy. What is Olaf's favorite season in the movie Frozen?
In summer.
No, it's fall.
It's summer.
It's fall. It's season 3 of Lorcana.
It is summer. Susan Egan,
Yes.
known for her role in the stage musical of Beauty and the Beast,
That's Val.
also
Val.
provides the voice of what animated character?
Oh, this is like one of my favorite pieces of trivia. You guys know this. We've talked about this so much. No. She plays Bella.
The spot?
No, oh my God, stop. Did you even listen to the question? Sarah Egan was the first Belle on Broadway. What other character did she play in an animated feature film? She's Meg. She's Meg from Hercules. Megara from Hercules.
I don't know. I like Mrs. Potts. Clearly does a great Angela Lansbury impersonation. She's all like singing as an old tea kettle.
No, but I know
and then
that piece of trivia.
I
gonna
knew
go
it. I just couldn't come to mind.
solve murders in Maine.
She's Meg. Because I've listened to her being interviewed about it, and like when I guess when they first approached her about it, they were worried because her voice was very, she's so sweet in all of her other roles that she's done, and she's like, Meg, like this is who I am, like this is more my personality, and she just killed that role.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a very, very talented person.
Yes, love Sarah.
I think she could.
Yes, all right.
I think she could solve murders in Maine just as well as Angela Lansbury could. So
you're probably not wrong. But anyway, love Sarah Egan.
Yeah, definitely a new Netflix show that should be made. She could sing and solve a murder at the same time. Okay, so I'll give you a 50-50 one now, because that's the card I'm not choosing. In the animated feature Peter Pan, is Captain Hook's hook on his right or left?
I'm pretty positive it's his left.
Yeah, I think it's right. I think it's left.
You are right. You are wrong. It is left.
You were the TikTok croc and you ate it. You should know.
I didn't.
Well, I mean, the hand got eaten before the show.
I guess that's
just ate
true.
the rest of him.
I guess that's true. And he was only 5 when he played that part.
Yeah. Who knows if that person had on his right or left?
No, it was left.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
This is weird that this question's on the exact same card. Finish the line from The Emperor's New Groove. The funny thing about shaking hands is
wrong lever.
Why do we even have that lever?
Because molecules don't touch.
Oh, nice.
The funny thing about shaking hands is molecules don't touch.
I don't know. What is it?
It's because it's disgusting.
So it's, the funny thing about shaking hands is you need hands.
Wow, Malcolm's
Because
brain
he gets
exploded.
he gets turned into a llama.
Yeah,
and then can't shake hands because he's a llama.
Right. To be fair, we've all literally watched the movie once.
I watched it twice. I'm a llama.
Yeah, there are so
which one's better, a llama
I feel
or
like
goat?
it's weird, like the ratio of cards played from that movie, like to the number of cards in the game. Like it's really high.
It is.
Bucky, it gets played a lot.
The Cusco.
The Cusco from set 1 was played a ton. It's not played as much now, but it was played a ton.
And the Cusco llama.
The Cusco llama I played in my deck.
Kronk was played too.
Kronk gets a little bit of play, and he's got the new Kronk coming up in the next set that looks really hot, really good.
The silver, the steel Kronk, right?
Yeah, he's like it's one that you get to do damage when he quests, I think.
I think if there any cards. I mean,
there's Yzma's, but nobody plays with
that one Yzma was good.
Yzma in the chair.
Oh yeah, Yzma in the chair. She's the lady in the chair.
Yzma's one of the ladies in the chair.
Right.
So it gets played quite a bit. So yeah, it's like I think the designers must really love that movie.
Yeah.
And so they're making good cards for it, but they also know we can't push our luck because there aren't going to be a lot of cards that people want to play from Emperor. There aren't a lot of Emperor's New Groove fans.
I mean, we all.
I don't know. I think people like 10 years younger than us are all super into Emperor's New Groove.
Yeah, it's the same people that like the Star Wars prequels. Like if you like the Star Wars prequels, you probably like Emperor's New Groove.
Sure.
I think that's how that works.
The Star Wars prequels were fine.
Has
If
anybody
you're not
watched?
weird, crazy Star Wars fan,
Has
like
anybody
some
watched?
They were aggressively
fine. Yes, but they were not bad,
They were just-
except for like parts of episode 1.
And also, has anybody here even watched Clock's new move?
No.
What?
No, I have not.
That exists.
There are a lot of like sequels to some of the
That went
movies
straight
from the
to
90s and early 2000s.
straight to
the
movie.
video.
Straight to
that,
video.
You know, I've never watched. I actually found there's actually a podcast that just started called The Lore Keepers Inn. It's supposed to be like a place where people that love Lorcana can take a break from Lorcana because it's the inn, right?
Oh, okay.
And they started a segment where once a month they're going to watch one of those old straight to VHS sequels. They just did like The Little Mermaid 2, Return to the Sea.
Right.
And they were just like, this isn't really that good, but people are saying this is one of the better ones. So they're like, oh no, what have we gotten into?
What? How many sequels are there?
Oh, they meant
all of those types of sequels. Like we watch, I think the only one we've watched is like that Lion King 1.5.
Yeah.
I mean that was actually made by Disney, so like.
I've watched the three the two
Aladdin
ones.
You've gone through in Kingdom Hearts. You've gone through that.
No, I've actually watched them.
Because Aladdin was his favorite movie when he was like 11, 12.
Like when it
came out. Right.
So, like,
well, they didn't do the sequel. Well, they did the sequel.
Right.
Aladdin 2.
Yeah, when he was like your age, like that was his favorite movie.
Yeah, they did Return of Jafar and Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
But they didn't do the King of Thieves, Prince of Thieves.
I think the Jafar one is the only one I've seen.
I've seen the Jafar one. I've seen the Thieves one.
Yeah.
And like, I made it through the Jafar one. And thought, well, this was not good. Even back then, I knew this is not good. And then I wouldn't have watched the King of Thieves one, the third one.
Mm-hmm.
There was so much like story around it because they got Robin Williams back to do the
Right.
voice of the genie. Like they paid him in artwork and stuff like that to get him to do the voice again. So I watched that. Still not good. I mean, funnier than the second, but not good.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So that added some stuff, but yeah. So Lore Keepers Inn, be my recommendation if you're looking for a nice light podcast. If you like podcasts like ours, they are one that I would kind of put in the same vein as more of a cozy podcast for Lorcana, not so much on the here are the decks that you need to play this week.
You need to play the Oswald deck.
So that's just not playing because he's not in the game.
Oh, yeah.
So you just don't want to play anymore because he's not.
I play the Oswald deck.
Okay, you play the Oswald deck. Okay, I'm going to bring us to a close. Thank you, everyone, for... Was there something else you wanted to add, Malcolm? Okay. Thank you so much for joining us this week and every week. If you would like to ask us any questions, you can email us at questlorequestions@gmail.com. If you were listening to this as an audio podcast, you can see our lovely faces on YouTube. Just search for QuestLore. If you're watching us on YouTube and want to find us as an audio podcast, just search for us as an audio podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can find us there. Just type in QuestLore and search for us. Please rate, subscribe, leave us a thumbs up, leave us a comment, give us a rating. There are a few ratings that we have got from Spotify and through Apple Podcasts. We appreciate you for doing that there. It does help us reach more people. You can find us on all social media type stuff. We're still not really good at it.
We forgot one more piece of news.
Oh, what's that?
So we forgot that tomorrow Toronto tickets go on sale.
That is true. So if you
are
made it to the end, past the spiel, and somehow don't know about Toronto tickets go on sale on Friday, June 21st at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
So if you're listening to this on Friday morning, since we're actually recording this on Thursday today, this time, then, make sure that you set an alarm on your phone or whatever, on your, whatever devices you set alarms on, and get that, because if they sell like they've been selling, they're going to go very quickly.
And remember, this is in Toronto. That means it's in Canada. So if you're in the U.S., that is a foreign country for us.
Yes, you need
You
either
do
an enhanced
pass or
passport or an enhanced license.
Yeah,
yes.
so make sure you have your travel stuff in place because odds are you're not going to be able to turn around a passport in enough time
No.
at this point.
I mean, unless you
Unless you
expedite
pay
it.
for an expedited one,
Yeah.
which means another extra $60 on top of the 100 and something that you already have to pay for your passport. So make sure you're thinking about those plans.
Yeah.
If you do want to go to Toronto, we do recommend it. We are going to try to go.
All 4 of us?
Yep.
That's our hope.
That's our hope. That we're all going to be there. So we hope to see you there. Anyways, as I was saying, please
Wait,
feel
when
free.
is Toronto?
End of August. End of August.
We'll let you know next week if we got tickets.
Yep. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you. And until next time, this is QuestLore, and we are out.
Oswald, lucky rabbit, Bologana!